I'm in the little village of Mickleham, in the Mole Gap in Surrey, North Downs, and I'm just going for a walk for, well, maybe less than 2 miles, I think. Public footpaths go along this this lane here. It's kind of like a well, not a tarmac lane, a kind of a lane that gets fairly muddy, I think, in the winter months. That's the lane there. It's those trees have grown up in recent years. Swanworth Lane, no through road. Now, what I'm coming up to now is the first dual carriageway that was built in the United Kingdom to bypass the village of Mickleham, and it came complete with cycle tracks, nice cycle tracks on either side. That bungalow there was formerly Bridges Bungalow, and but they've left, well, died off some years ago. So that's been done up nicely by the current owners. I'm just going to have a look at this railway crossing here. This is the right. Oh, there's a train coming. I'm going to make a upset the neighbour. I've upset the neighbour's dogs. That drowned out the neighbour's dogs. There's the Mole Tunnel down there. Now this is a private driveway. I'll go down here, and I didn't see any sign saying it was private. Yeah, it's all that's yeah, it's all been changed. Well, the back of the cottage, the size of it is the same. Private property. I'm going to have a look at this cottage called Mole Cottage. Okay, there's Mole Cottage, right there. I won't go any closer, but the back of it hasn't changed. There's a big extension on the front, but there's no change. I'll say goodbye to this view of Mole Cottage, but I'll have a look at it from the bypass. Driveway to Mole Cottage, but any person who omits to shut and fasten this gate is liable to a penalty not exceeding 40 shillings. And there it is. Mole Cottage has its own private driveway now. Okay, Mickleham, that's how it's pronounced, Mickleham. This planted hedge here, which actually helps us keep the motorcycles from flying well, down into that field there. This gap, that used to be the driveway to Mole Cottage, and I'll just show this was yeah, this was the and there's some nice yew trees there in the garden. They've been there for many years. And there it is. There's that part you see now is an extension, but Mole Cottage itself is still basically as it was. Well, the cottage, I believe, has been in that position since the 14th century, but of course that's not the original. That's probably a Victorian or a construction. Yeah, so there it is, extensive gardens. It hasn't really changed in outline except for the extension on the front. Okay, I'm trespassing again. I left the cycle track, climbed over that locked gate, and I'm going to cross this field. Oops! Those horses have been... This has been a place to graze horses, for centuries. Okay, I'm not sure. if I can get through. I don't like to disturb horses. Yeah, and here they're coming. So that's it, that plan. I was always charged at one time by horses, so I'm going to make an escape here. There's the bypass. And here I'll just point out this bridge here. Built in 1833, I think, and it's now listed, it's protected. Crosses the River Mole. There's the River Mole. This is a calm stretch. This is known as the Mole Gap, this area. Driveway. It serves a few ordinary houses, but it eventually winds its way up this hillside here to the top of that hill there, at 200-300 feet above the valley floor, and it ends at Norbury House, a big house on the top of the hill, built a couple of centuries ago. Okay, I'm going for a short woodland walk now to where the railway line goes under this hill, just a couple of 100 yards or so along here. Before that 1987 great storm, all this, there were magnificent mature beeches originally planted maybe 200 years ago by the owner of Norbury Park. But of course all those were blown down, every single one of them. And all this, you see, is new growth since 1987. But that's a surviving tree there. Looks like a yew tree. That survived, but none of the other big trees, the beech trees, they are all gone. Path runs along the top of the beginning of the Mole Tunnel. I don't know if I can just about see over the top. I think they've actually made this wall a bit higher since. Oh, there it is. That's the railway line there. Yeah, that's the main London to Brighton railway line. It's electric. The southern railways, they're all electrified. Okay. I'm just going to scramble down the hillside here, and I hope I don't go for a tumble. Yeah, I just disturbed a heron. But I think you can just about, it's kind of gone some overgrown here. But there's Mole Cottage across the other side of that field, with the extension of course added. And there's those horses. They must know I've come here. They're looking at me. Yeah, they recognise me. I tried to cross the field, and I came round the long way. Yeah, so this is the River Mole here, and there's a big tree there that has survived the storm. One of the very few that did. But it looks as though it's yeah, it's an oak tree. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they come to say hello. They're friendly horses. So obviously not meant. But you know, you can't quite see again, it's overgrown. But there's the Victorian, built in 1836, that railway line. And it caused an uproar at the time because it spoiled the scenery. Yeah, the River Mole, that's it there. It's probably hasn't got much water in right now because it's been quite dry recently. There's several yew trees dotted on this little bit of a slope here, and this looks like it's been around for many, many years. They're ancient trees, and there's a surviving beech tree. I think it's just it's lost a lot of its branches, surviving from the 1987 storm. Okay, I'll continue my scramble up there. Okay, I'm retracing my steps, and there's a good view there of Mickleham Downs. Right, I think it's I think there's lots of footpaths that go through. I've never actually walked on any of them. I just point out this. There's been a few dandelions in that field, and they're all ready to seed again. Okay, in a little way along the bypass, I want to have a quick look at the village school, Church of England school. Now, yeah, it's up there, right? It looks like they've built new houses, I think, in recent years, and now you can't quite see it. But I'll walk up and have a closer look. We're on the Gauntlet, where the traffic. And St Michael's School is just up here. Michael's School. Can't quite see it from here, but I might be able to scramble up a bank. Suspicious in the shrubbery here. But that was built, I think, in 1905. It replaced an older school, and it's now an infant school, but at one time it was the village primary school. Can't quite see it from here, but that house there, the owner of Dalewood, when she couldn't maintain the big house there, and it's the big house in Mickleham, now Box Hill School, that was a house she moved into, Mrs. Fosbury. Yeah, the King George, no, the King William pub is somewhere up there, I think. I think it's fairly popular. Yeah, there it is. The King William pub. Okay, I'm going to have another quick look. Here's the wall, the boundary wall. Quick look, see if I can get another picture of the front view of the glen. You can't quite see it. It's quite a big house, the glen. Now it looks like it's called ilex trees. Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, the glen. Yeah, I seem to vaguely remember this old brick wall. Yeah, that old bridge that goes over the River Mole, and this Box Hill School. It's for girls and boys aged 11 to 18. But I haven't seen any kids. I've been here for a couple of hours and haven't seen any kids yet. When Dalewood was built, around about I think somewhere around the 1870s, around about 1870. Of course, that's when this wall, this is a boundary wall. And of course, before the bypass was built, this was the main road going to, well, from London to Brighton. There it is, a typical, well, I believe they call it the Gothic style, built by some wealthy person in the Victorian times around 1870, and then later occupied by somebody called a Welshman, I think. He ran a business, a successful business, Mr. Evans. He bought it, and his daughter eventually inherited it, Mrs. Fosbury. And then in 1939 she had to sell up. But that's the biggest house in the village by far. But these are other. That's Flintstone there, constructed out of Flintstone. Excellent houses along here. Yeah. Yeah, there's another nice house right there, called the Old Cottage. When this was the main road running between London and Brighton back in the 18th century, that would be a coaching inn, the Running Horses. I think it's got some history attached to it. Yeah, the Running Horses. There's the bus stop, there's the rectory, and here's an excellent church, St Michael's Church. I won't go inside, it's probably locked anyway, it's what, 7:30 in the evening, but I'll have a little walk around the outside. We're in here, this churchyard, a Canadian Prime Minister who, I think he was a Prime Minister in the early part of the 20th century, and he came and retired here, and he's buried somewhere in this churchyard. Oh, and yeah, there's the village war memorial. Yeah, quite well. Again, every village lost a lot of young men in that war. So I've never been inside this church, but I've seen it often enough in the past. I just wander through these gravestones. Okay. There's a churchyard yew there, quite a good size, a nice bench. But this, as I say, there's quite a few gravestones here, so you'd have to, I won't spend any time, actually, unless it kind of springs out at me, I won't, but somewhere here is the Canadian Prime Minister, he's buried. There's public footpaths everywhere in this area. Okay. Oh, I'll just point out this. I stopped here to, it's a kind of unusual entrance gate. There's the running horses again. And that's a sign of the times there. That was the village store, and it's still, yeah, it's still got the, what was that? Rose's store, not sure what that is. Rose's store, established 1833. But there used to be a family called the Butchers that owned it at one time. And as I say, it's a sign of the times. The village stores they're more or less closing up everywhere you go. Okay, so that's the church. I never remember this building. I think there has been, I think it was a series of more or less older buildings. But in my day I must have seen it. But it is a Victorian building. Actually, it's where I'm staying. Not there, I'm staying round the back. But there's an excellent, that's the end of this walk. But I will show something else before I finish this video. Where I'm staying. I'm staying here for 4 nights. I'm going to use it as a base. It's just a room. It's got a bathroom, a separate bathroom. And it's got a shared entrance through this porch as somebody lives through that door. And there's my fridge and microwave oven. So enough to get by on, for it's only £39 a night. This is the outside. It's got its own well, there's no phone. It looks like he's recently acquired it. There's this little, well, it looks like a little swimming pool. And that's where the owners live, in that, the main house. Got quite a large garden there. And, yeah, let's see. Yeah, I'm living there right at the end. Just by the telephone box there. Yes. So I'll just, there's just one more thing I want to show here. In the playing fields of Box Hill School, but it used to be the grounds of Dalewood at one time, and up there on that was wooded hill there, it's about rises about 300 feet above the valley floor. Up there somewhere, if it's hidden by the trees, is Norbury Park, the big house. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show. I wanted to show the view from this side of Dalewood, now known as Box Hill School, of course, but Dalewood at one time. And of course, these are now, it's a school, so all these are probably student accommodation or student accommodation. Alright, so that's the end of this video, and well, basically the end of the walk.